Good afternoon, everybody. I am Donna Reed, and I traveled in Up With People 1976, and I am still continuing to have the Christmas background, so probably by Easter I'll get that changed. But for now, I am welcoming Kimmo. And Kimmo, say your last name, Vallema?
Vallema, yeah.
Vallema. I put the emphasis in the wrong place. Vallema.
Close enough.
Yeah, all right. It seems like for several of the Europeans are like, just call me whatever you want. So, and I was going to ask you when you traveled, but your name says D90. So let me ask, is that when you traveled and Up With People?
That would be the year I traveled. Yes, in 1990 D, that was the last summer D that in Up With People existed. Yeah.
Okay. And did you stage here in Tucson?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tucson.
So that was...
Yeah, it was hot for a Finnish guy to arrive to end of July, beginning of August into Tucson. It's not the most hospitable places. But,
it was hot for
it
me.
Is.
And I'm from Ohio. So when I first came here, there was no jetways to walk. You had to get off the plane outside in Tucson. So for you, did you get off the plane and go outside, or were you able to walk right into the terminal? Do you remember?
Oh, I can't. I think we walked. I mean, it was really tiny airport anyway.
Yeah, it is a tiny
little small building we walked into, and then there you were.
Yeah.
And I mean, like 22 hours of flights or whatever ridiculous it was. I mean, you were so out of it anyway.
So it wouldn't have mattered. Okay, so Kimmo, so clearly you said you're from Finland. Did you see a show in Finland? How did you learn about Up With People?
I first saw Up With People. Well, actually, I heard about Up With People as a former classmate of mine in my hometown of Kotka in Finland. They were hosting somebody from, if I remember, 87.
Okay.
I want to say the one cast that comes in January in Finland. They're stupid enough to come to Finland in January to minus whatever degrees it is. But time for the music, and they were hosting, and I got to know. Now, if that person is there, it was a trombone player in the cast that came to Finland in 87 in January. You can contact me. I mean, that's the
we'll have to try to figure that out. That's awesome. Yeah.
And then I went to the show, and they're like, "Oh, next time they come, we have to host." I was just intrigued about the whole music thing. I mean, music was supposedly going to be my profession, and it was more the musical aspect of it that drew me into it. And then 89, we were actually hosting. We were hosting. Let me see now. Priscilla Janssens from 89B. Saxophone player in the band, and I interviewed that time and got accepted to travel about 6 months later. Well, no, actually, I got to reapply. I think then they called me again. Maybe I was a quota. They were missing a few Finnish men or whatever, and then they're like, "Oh,
like no,
but."
Okay, maybe we'll take you. So that's so funny. So Kimmo, how old were you? Were you just out of high school? Were you college? Like what age were you when you came?
Oh, I must be. Yeah, it was 90, so I must have been 19. Yeah, so I was just finished with my Lukio gymnasium. I suppose junior college is the closest thing at that time, or high school. Yeah.
Okay. And what did your folks think about you just taking off to go do this thing?
They were really supportive. I mean, probably taken a little bit back from my excitement about it, that this is something I have to do, but extremely supportive. I mean, I would not have been able to do it without their financial help with it as well. I mean, 6 months is tiny amount of time to collect all that money, even though the money at that time, I think it was like $9,800 for the year. Yeah, it was a big money at that time for somebody who just graduated from school or from like a high school type of thing. So
I talked to somebody else the other day, and it was around the same time because they said the tuition was around the same. So in 76, my tuition was like $3,800 or $3,900. But when you go back and you look at it economically, my German club, believe it or not, at that point, I spoke German, even though 40 years later, I can barely say anything. But we had a bake sale, and one of the guys, his father was from Germany, and we had really good, but that meant that at a bake sale, I might make $70 or $80. So the fundraisers were $70 or $80 total, which if tuition was 17,000, like it was when my son traveled, how many bake sales would I have had to have? So it's weird to go back and think about that what we sold a whole cake for is probably what you pay for a slice now someplace.
Probably.
Yeah, when you go
And
in.
it's a little bit different. This kind of cake sale kind of thing is much more of a thing that is tend to be done more in the US,
Yeah.
and in Europe it's more you work for it. It's kind of alien concept to try to collect money in that sense. It's getting more usual now. I mean, I'm
Is it?
old in comparison to a lot of the alumni today. So I've seen some alumni I think I went to show in Belgium. They were collecting money by selling these bags that they had made with the text "Up with People," support somebody to travel in Up with People, or so something like that. So they can be really creative. But I think that like the tenor of the age today is to go and create a GoFundMe or something like that. Much more.
Yeah, different. It is a different world, that's for sure. And you're, a good number of years younger than me. So, okay. So you leave, you travel 1990. Did you work as staff at all, or did you just travel to 1 year?
I traveled 1 year, and then I stayed probably for technical summer staff in the summer of '91, because obviously I was stupid enough not to believe that it's bloody hot in Tucson in August. So I
Come
decided
back.
to stay a little. I wanted to stay. I was probably the worst technical support staff they had ever, because I had these great aspirations of becoming one day a big musical professional, and yeah. That includes the fact where you work in that 60-degree, whatever that 150-degree Fahrenheit warehouse in Tucson as well. And yeah,
Okay, that's an exaggeration. It's not quite 150, but it is pretty hot. Yeah.
well, when it's 100 and whatever 10
Yeah,
outside,
yeah.
then inside that warehouse, it was. Yeah, but
That is funny.
it was. I did after that. I did a couple of setups for a cast that came to Finland. Well, not as a PR rep, but more of a like a supporting with the language and stuff. Apparently, Finnish is relatively difficult, even
You
though I
think?
learned it.
Yeah.
Well, my kids
I
can do speak it somewhat.
Yeah, I think I don't know if you remember this, but I was teasing you one time about how the Finnish isn't even really a language. It's like one consonant, then I, and then some more I's, and then and you wrote this, had to have been on Facebook, because you said it's for world domination. And I and I wrote back and I said, please don't be my friend when you take over the world. Because
Yeah,
oh my gosh, because it's an interesting language. So, okay, so I met you on the BOG, right? I'm trying
yeah,
to think that's where, and
yeah.
at that point you were so technical in music, now tech, and what you do now, that's what were you doing? What was your role on the BOG? Because it seems like it was website and technical stuff.
Yeah, so I joined the team of Steve Shalia, who was the IT chair around 2000 or something like
Okay.
that.
Okay.
And I was trying to help him with some of the stuff, because I had gotten into this web thingy a little bit, and getting to know about how to set up web servers and all that stuff, and web home pages and all that stuff. And then somehow I got tricked into accepting the IT chair position after Steve I think 2002, and that's where we went through quite the major changes when it comes to web. I mean, originally the website of IAA was a computer under a desk in Florida, which was appropriate at that time
I'm
because
right,
nothing else really existed. But I mean,
right.
that was kind of when the internet started really breaking through, and there was a lot of more possibilities. So like, why are we spending all that money on monthly basis for that computer there when we can now get it much cheaper and do the. So we went into a shared hosting and started creating web pages with the content management systems and all that stuff. It happened in 2002 to 2006, and
Wow.
around that time as well. I mean, we were working on a major project for the Harris directory,
Oh,
for
that's
the
right.
alumni
Yeah.
directory
Updating.
online, updating the data so they could print these books and sell to
Yep.
the alumni. And like, I was saying, well, we are collecting this data already. Why don't we put it in the proper database? And that's how the IAA alumni database really as a database got born, and that was used for the site as well at that time.
I have one of those directories in my closet with the books that I keep that I think I'm going to use again. I don't think I ever took it out of the plastic.
I'll take
Because
it.
yeah, because things change so quickly. And I think, I don't know that this is true because this is totally an opinion. There's no research behind it. But I think that alumni move and travel as much as any subgroup in the world, probably, right? I mean, we tend to be global people. So I don't know. There's just this piece of me goes, by the time the book comes out, somebody's probably relocated already.
Yeah, this is true. I mean, the technology is going forward so fast that
Yeah.
it is entirely true that these printed media, while it has its purposes, and then it gets old the moment it's printed. So
Yeah.
and it's not the alumni only that are the mobile people. Everyone is
No,
mobile these
everybody
days.
is. Yeah.
Perhaps
Yeah.
the uppies are a little bit more mobile than the average person you have, but it's even more relevant then to go with the times and make sure that we
Yeah.
use the technology what exists to our
Yeah.
advantage
Yeah.
without forgetting the dangers behind it.
Yeah. All right. So I want to make sure I cover some up with people things. So when did you meet your wife? Did you travel with her, or where did you guys
No.
meet?
We actually met at the European alumni meeting. I think
Really?
she traveled in 2008, and
Okay.
I can't remember. It must be, let's see now, 20 years ago, roughly. So it would have been about a couple of years after she traveled, and we met up in Brussels. No, I think, was it in Brussels?
At one of
Or
the EAMs?
Antwerp in EAM.
Okay. That's
Yeah, and
cool.
then kind of took on from there, and then yeah,
And you live in Germany now,
Germany
right?
now.
Is that
Yeah,
okay? And
so at
you've
that
been there
time
for a while, right?
at that time I was still living in Netherlands. I mean, she's German, and I was living 10 years in Netherlands, and now I've lived in Germany for about 14 years. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And how many children do you guys have?
Three.
Three. That's what I
18,
thought.
16, and 13.
Okay, so that's how long ago I was on the BOG then. That because I remember when your daughter was like just a baby. She was like, I remember seeing pictures. God, I don't ever feel like I'm getting old until I think about things like that. And I watch the kids and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm getting old.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, all right. So music. What was your show? What was the name of your show?
Face to face. Face to
Face
face
to
was the
face.
show that I traveled with. Yeah.
And per our friend Sheila, there's a few questions that she has suggested that I ask everybody. And so
Oh
this
God.
is, well,
I
no,
know Sheila.
I know you do. I know. She was like, Donna, you need some rapid fire questions. So I'm going to do this before we talk about what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
So, what do you have a song or songs that from your show that really you still love, either performing or because they spoke to you emotionally, or anything from the face-to-face show that was
From
really
face to
special?
face show, I mean, I still the heart still beating is still very relevant today. I mean, it is
Mhm,
a very nice song, and
mhm.
had very relevant lyrics today, considering what's going on in the world. And I know that I loved in the face to face we had a show. We had the Song of Peace for the longest
Mm,
most of the
I like
tour,
that.
and we did that. I mean, the first Iraq War, the Gulf War started when we were in Finland.
You're right. Yeah.
So it was very relevant at that time, and we were singing that. We went back to US in, I think, the beginning of March. So the war was still going on, and we as a cast petitioned, and we were told that we're going to replace that Song of Peace with another song, and we were petitioning almost as a cast. We want to keep that song in the show. Why do we have to
Yes.
replace it? And then, well, they replaced it with another song that is pretty nice, the Sound of Peace that we did then, and it was
Can we
tested on
sing
the
a Song
road.
of Peace or the Sound of Peace? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that doing that in Raleigh with, I think they're close to 200. No, there must be 100 plus kids on the stage. That is, yeah, gives me goosebumps still today. So
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, but there are
All
many
right.
songs
Yeah.
that
There's so many that continue to be relevant, which is sweet and also sad. Like that the stories still continue because things haven't changed and we still are singing about peace. We're still singing about racial tension. We're still, we're still singing some of the same songs. So
yeah, but there was also a lot of fun stuff. I mean,
yeah,
I love the 60s medley we had. It was great fun to do. It
yeah,
was just great songs in it.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah,
the
that's
medleys
true.
always
The medleys were always fun for everybody.
yeah.
What got me was when so I'm the 70s. So just a few years after you, we were the retro. And then I'm like, it's so weird to think that my life is now in the medley of the past.
Yeah.
So, all right. The other question, one of the other things that Sheila brought up that I think is fun is there a food that you ate once on the road that you would never eat again? Or is there something that you ate somewhere that you learned to love and you were so excited that you had it and now you've fed it to your kids or anything like that?
I don't think there was any really extreme experiences that I had when it comes to food, except that I do. That's two memories that I have when it comes to food on the road was uh, apart from eating salad at the Tucson Convention Center. Always just salad and salad and salad. Okay, but that's a different story. But there was the horror on my face that must have shown when I was being hosted, I think in Belgium, uh, with somebody from our cast. I can't remember for the life of me
Yeah.
who it was with, and we're sitting there for breakfast, and they take a piece of toast and put peanut butter and Nutella and slices of banana on top of it. I was like, oh God, no,
Did
no.
you try it?
There must be a law against it. That looked to me so disgusting, but I mean, to each his own.
I got to tell you what, it sounds really good to me because all three of those, it's kind of chocolatey, kind of peanut buttery, and peanut butter bananas are great. So anyway, I might try that Kimmo. So
Have fun. Knock yourself out. Not for me.
too funny. All righty. So you also now, apart from your work that pays you a salary, you have spent a lot of time working on a website for
Correct.
Up With People. Tell everyone about that for alumni and what that is and what the purpose is. Yeah.
Yeah. This is correct. So my professional background today is not music, as you might have gathered by now. I'm been working 25 years in IT, and big part of it is in business intelligence, customer intelligence, and I've seen some enough scary stuff out there to what is possible today and what is being done today, and it kind of triggered me some years ago when I was being asked to join yet another Up With People group in Facebook, and like, hey, we are doing this where people can actually post their houses and like for housing exchange and that kind of, as an idea, I love it. However, it'll be a cold day in hell before I do that by posting my
address or
house
something.
address and when I'm not at home in Facebook, because I know what they do with your data. They sell it left, right, and center. But there must be a better way to do it. And I was fairly convinced that we can do it. And it's like, I'll try it. And
Yeah.
now, a couple of years later, we have set up a website called uwpalumnihub.org. And this is a website which is a social networking website only for the alumni, as defined by IAA. And it'll be much like Facebook, where people can actually go and socialize, but do the housing exchange thing. They can discuss various things with each other, have a centralized events calendar. A lot of us are business owners. They can post kind of like a business directory of the alumni-owned businesses, and so on and so forth. And it's by no means it's ready. I mean, we get more ideas every day, and we think what we can build there. And now we launched it in, I think, beginning of June this year.
Okay.
And now we have about 500. What did I just check? 550 or so users in the site. Without doing really much promotion per se for it. So
Right.
we wanted to do, I wasn't quite sure if I can do it, but like, hell, I'll try it. And apparently it works, and people are interested in it. So we are hoping that to offer something more secure and private for the alumni at large, because I know there are a lot of alumni as well. There's no way I'm going to Facebook. I don't trust them.
Yeah.
For rightful reasons, probably in many cases as well. We want to offer an alternative where the data is ours and it will stay ours. It's not sold to anywhere, or it will not be shared with anyone outside.
I think you may remember I tried to get on right away and I wasn't able to, and I haven't gone back. So I just wrote it down again to remember I know. And I think so. I'm buying a condo that will be a great rental here in Tucson, and that would be a great place to, let people know about that if potentially. So and Sheila tried. It was right at the very beginning. It was like the first week, and there were just some glitches, and I just haven't gone back to it. But I think that's important to know. And Kimmo, one of the other things that so I met with not just me. The new CEO was in town, and they've been working hard. They've been traveling. I don't know if you got to meet her. She's been all over the world, so I'm not sure if she's been to Germany and if you've met her there or not. Have you had a chance?
I didn't meet her in person, but she participated in a Zoom conference through at the German alumni meeting where I actually participated.
Good.
And then I got to meet in person the COO, Phil.
Worcester.
Genau, Worcester.
Yeah.
And then we chatted about, amongst other things, about the hub as well.
Right.
And
Right.
He was here in Germany. Yeah.
Well, and one of the things that she brought up, we had a gathering at Worcester's the other Sunday, and it was interesting because there's some regulars, like everything, that people that, and then there were some people that I haven't seen in years, one that I hadn't met in person, but we were Facebook friends, and part of what she talked about is the future and how the changes and the things that, and the evolution of that, just like your website. So, they can't say it's going to be exactly something yet, but they're working on it. Right. So Up With People voices as it moves forward. And I have been asking everyone sort of towards the end of these, what they would tell a young person. You have a daughter that's 18. If she decided that she wanted to travel sometime in the next few years, because they're looking at 18 to 24-year-olds. That's the market that I can't even relate to that, because my 35-year-old seems like a kid to me. Right. So what would you tell what's her name? I forget your oldest daughter's name.
Lotte.
What would you tell?
Yeah.
What would you tell her if she said, Dad, Mom, I think I want to do this? Would you say yes, and why it might be a good idea? How would you sell this to a future student?
Well, as far as Up With People program goes, we kind of I mean, I can only tell from my personal experience what it meant to me, what I experienced, and not to try to paint it in some kind of rose-colored picture of it, because it
Yeah.
is like, to paraphrase a rather famous alumnus, it is hard.
Oh,
Up with people experience is not easy. It is also hard work. It's a lot of work, but it brings also a big reward. At least to
yeah.
me,
Right.
and I can't talk for everyone. If she decided to do something like that, whether it's Up with People or another program, absolutely, I would. I mean, let's talk about it and see that you go with the right expectations. But everything that
Right.
takes you out of your comfort zone is always a good for you. I mean, I've lived now, what, 25 years, more or less, close to 30 years outside of my own home country, and it kind of brings you something else. You never learn to appreciate what you have until you see, you go
Mm,
somewhere away from it, and they're like, hey, actually that wasn't, I complained about it all the weather in Finland, it's
mm.
bloody cold there all the time. No, it's not. It's
Yeah.
actually, it can be much
Yes.
colder.
Yes, it is, Kimmo.
But yeah, I mean, absolutely everything. Broaden
Yeah.
your horizons, go and challenge yourself, find out sides about yourself that you might not have realized are there,
Yeah.
or interest, or whatever.
Yeah. I think that the interest piece really, really can say something because, like you said, here, I don't know what your music background was in high school or whatever, but if that's what drew you to Up with People, doesn't mean you don't still like music, but there's been a whole evolution in your life about what you do for work and things like that. And it again, it doesn't mean that doesn't still bring you joy. After talking to the Arizona band, those guys are forever musicians. Doesn't matter what else they're doing, they,
Yeah, and I mean, if I want to find some kind of a impact that Outward People had in my future life, it's definitely an international aspect.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah,
and
agreed.
that's, I mean, without that, I had never really had the courage to actually go and start international studies that I did, where half of my studies were in Finland, half outside of Finland, and that was something that was really um, uh, yeah, it was just seemed like a natural thing to do. I was like, why not? I mean, I've been
It
abroad
is.
before. Why not? I can
Yeah,
do it.
I think that if I were to do life over again, I would have spent more time as a younger person living abroad. And in 2012, I studied in France, and that was something I was going to do in 1980. So it became okay, it didn't happen then, so let's make it happen now. And that was the first time that I ventured away and lived somewhere else by myself in a country, and I attended school in southern France down near Nice, and
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, also the
so
learning doesn't stop when you finish school. I mean, it's
no,
life is
no,
about learning. I'm learning every day today as well. I live in Germany. I lived in Holland. I lived a while in US. Yeah,
yeah,
why not?
yeah,
Who knows where I'll
constant.
be next, or will
Who
will
knows
be
where
next?
you'll be next? So, well, any final words as I wrap it up here? Anything that you'd like to share that we haven't discussed?
Oh, I would just love to see more people at the hub and come and say hi. And if anyone is on the fence about these things, like I could talk for hours about the dangers of social media, and I have facts to prove about it. We could do it, but I
Yeah,
would probably
no.
bore the hell
And
out of most
I
people.
am such a social media user that I'm like but I also leave, never mind. My children think I'm ridiculous at how I trust everybody. So I probably shouldn't share everything. But
I mean, I'll be first to it. I still use Facebook because my
yeah,
family is Finland. That's what they use. But I,
yeah.
there are better ways.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, when we post this and make it live, I will be sure to include and tag you, and then make sure that you and this will be on the alumni page and probably on mine, that for the Alumni Hub that you comment on it in case I forget. And just so you know, I'm recording like 4 or 5 of these right now and spacing
Hmm.
them out every couple of weeks. So it'll be sometime probably in January that I
Hmm.
make this one live. I just wanted to get a few done, and so that then I don't do anything through Christmas and New Year's. So
Sure.
anyway, thank you so much. It's good to see you. Please tell your wife I said hello. And
It was good seeing you again.
yeah,
It's been
yeah.
a while.
It's been
Don't
a
be a
while.
stranger, and we'll
Yeah.
get you active on the hub.
I am hoping to be at the EAM either in Norway, but if not, I'm going to be in Limerick in 2024. I'm going to make that happen. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So, all right. I'm going to end this. I'll talk to you for another minute. Okay.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks.
Bye.
All righty. Did it stop recording? We might still be recording. Hang
I
on.
think we still are. It's still
Okay, that
saying
was
recording
perfect.
us.
So this will be the first time that happened. Here we go.